You know, I always thought that I rescued you from the Dragon's Keep.
You did?
No. It was you that rescued me.
Fairy tales usually end with the characters living happily ever after. Of course, this doesn't sound very realistic. Many different films have been made about what happens beyond the last pages of children's books, continuing the original stories. Shrek, however, considers all these fairy tales to be nonsense, good only for rubbing on. In the cartoons about the Green Ogre, we see our favorite characters from a new perspective. They do not live in a fairy tale at all, but in a parody of one. Here, instead of a white horse, there is a talkative donkey, and Rapunzel wears a wig. Cinderella has clear signs of compulsive disorder, and the fairy godmother uses her position to marry her son to the princess. The creators of Shrek destroy the castles in the air that Charles Perrault and other storytellers have been building for so many years. Now we see what the world is really like. Surviving here and finding a happy ending is not so easy. Let's figure out how philosophy can help with this.
Sorry, lady. There's no time.
Wait! What are you doing? You should sweep me off my feet out yonder window and down a rope onto your valiant steed.
You've had a lot of time to plan this, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Fairy tales can teach us some really important and useful lessons. They teach us to be kind, brave, and not to eat apples given to us by strangers. But at the same time, many fairy tale characters don't set the best example. Just think of the princesses who waited for princes instead of taking control of their lives and breaking free from the life scenarios and stereotypes that have been instilled in us since childhood. It is much more difficult to accept that dragons do not exist. It is these stereotypes that Shrek fights against. He not only challenges public taste, but also rebels against the usual foundations, just as Harry Potter did fighting the boggart, the embodiment of fear, with laughter. To destroy the idols of the past, the creators of Shrek mock them. The story of Shrek is a parody of children's fairy tales, designed to talk to the audience about real adult problems. The main storyline of the first film parodies the typical story of a princess who must be rescued from a dragon by her betrothed. Of course, in Shrek, things are not so romantic. Lord Farquaad chooses Fiona from among other princesses shown to him by a magic mirror that predicts the appearance of Tinder. Of course, Farquaad has no intention of fighting the dragon and hires an ogre to do it. However, Fiona can stand up for herself. Shrek also parodies other well-known fairy tales. For example, we see a wolf who is friends with 3 little pigs and wears a woman's dress not to deceive Little Red Riding Hood, but simply because he likes it. The cartoon also contains many references to popular culture, wrestling, television shows, and a scene from Austin Powers. At the same time, it can be said that Shrek parodies Disney cartoons more often than classic fairy tales, and the title, 39 Kingdom on the Hill, clearly refers to Hollywood. The entire film industry is presented as a factory of dreams, ephemeral and unrealistic. In Shrek, the characters often use a high style of speech, which is combined with reduced vocabulary and toilet humor. The cartoon seems to be sewn together from different pieces that don't quite fit together.
Excuse me.
Better out than in, I always say, eh, Fiona?
In fact, Shrek is a product of his time. The parody and bitter irony that abound in the franchise are an integral part of postmodernism. The philosopher Jean-François Lyotard discussed this era. Modernism promised people freedom by ridding the mind of ignorance, but ultimately led to World War and the decline of humanism. That is why postmodernism came to replace it. Humanity, in crisis, satirically exposes outdated ideals that have failed to live up to expectations. But the beauty of Shrek is that parody here is just a way to talk about more important issues. Shrek really is like an onion. He has many layers.
Oh, come on, Shrek. Wake up and smell the pheromones. Just go in there and tell her how you feel.
There's nothing to tell. Besides, even if I did tell her that, well, you know. And I'm not saying I do, 'cause I don't. She's a princess, and I'm...
An ogre?
Yeah, an ogre.
In fairy tales, kind princes and princesses are usually also beautiful, unlike evil witches and sorcerers. Physical ugliness becomes a manifestation of inner qualities or punishment, as in the fairy tales The Dwarf with the Long Nose and Beauty and the Beast. Shrek cannot be called handsome. He is a scary and evil green ogre. He is aware of his reputation and maintains it by behaving accordingly. His disgusting habits, which match his image, are automatically perceived by our minds as something bad in every way. Take, for example, a centipede. Many people fear, loathe, or even detest it. But is it dangerous to humans? If left alone, it will not bite, and its bite is not fatal. However, this information has little effect on our attitude toward it. We also often think that people who are pleasant in appearance are also good in every other way. This is because the brain is too lazy to analyze each specific case. These are cognitive distortions called the halo effect. In the world where Shrek lives, ogres are considered ugly, but not because of their aggression or unsociability, but precisely because of their appearance. People do not expect anything good from him, and he tries to live up to their expectations. Even his name means fear. It is what people shout when they see him.
No problem, Shrek. What you got against the whole world anyway, huh?
Look, I'm not the one with the problem, okay? It's the world that seems to have a problem with me. People take one look at me and go, "Ah, help, run! A big, stupid, ugly ogre." They judge me before they even know me.
Why are ogres considered ugly? The answer can be found in the book History of Ugliness, edited by philosopher and semiotician Umberto Eco. In the classical world, a miracle, something strange, was perceived as a harbinger of imminent disaster. The world depicted in Shrek is similar to the Middle Ages, so it would not have been surprising to Umberto Eco that fairy tale creatures are perceived in this way. They represent something unseen, abnormal, and are therefore considered ugly. In the first film, they are even banished to the swamp. In addition, ugliness can be an acquired trait. Let's take an example from Eco's book, Syphilis. Over time, without proper treatment, a person with syphilis loses their human appearance. Bone growths appear and tendons are affected. This disease makes a person's appearance ugly. The loss of a human face brings us to an understanding of the concept of ugliness. Shrek, in the guise of an ogre, is feared and hated. But as soon as he drinks the potion and turns into a human, attitudes toward him change, even though he remains the same inside. The fact that his appearance conforms to certain standards makes him beautiful in the eyes of most people. The same thing happens with Donkey. He turns into a white horse, which is not embarrassing to ride to the princess. After all, this is the standard established in all fairy tales. Shrek shows once again that one should not judge people, ogres, and other creatures by their appearance. They are all multi-layered, like onions, and there is much hidden beneath the outer shell. Like any sentient being, ogres are complex. Of course, Shrek is wrong and is influenced by stereotypes, but at the same time he is capable of compassion and acknowledging his mistakes because behind his frightening appearance, in the eyes of humans, lies a conscious being with the same qualities as a human.
Are you all right?
Well, yes. But I don't understand. I'm supposed to be beautiful.
But you are beautiful.
Remember Fiona's curse: beautiful by day and ugly by night. And so it goes, year after year, until a kiss of love restores her true form. What does she really look like? At first, Fiona considers herself one of the princesses who must be rescued from the dragon by a handsome prince. She identifies specific characteristics that she associates with this group, which include Snow White, Cinderella, Rapunzel, and others. Accepting oneself as part of a particular group or several groups means finding one's identity. Usually, a person builds relationships with those around them based on this identity. Princesses, for example, wait for princes and sing to birds, while ogres scare everyone around them. The philosopher David Hume believed that our identity consists of how others perceive us. I am a bundle of perceptions, a set of characteristics supported by name, reputation, fame, or appearance. Shrek, for example, realizes that he is huge and understands that it is easier for him to go to the swamp, where he can be alone, because society believes that this is where he belongs. Remember the boy who tries to make Shrek roar? Because if he doesn't, then he's not an ogre at all. The donkey does not accept his identity, dreaming of being a racehorse, but even his name emphasizes that he is just one of many other donkeys. He does not have his own name, like Shrek and Fiona. However, Shrek shares one piece of wisdom with us. Over time, you learn to ignore labels and trust yourself.
Hey, you still look like a noble steed to me.
The main characters succeed in this. They stop living according to the books that dictate how they should be. Fiona can remain human forever and be just like everyone else. Shrek, who came for her on a white horse named Donkey. But she realizes that her true form, as described in The Curse of the Ogre, is not that of a helpless princess, and she does not want to be perceived that way. Shrek, Fiona, and Donkey remain themselves and find their own way to live happily ever after.